Good morning, students. I welcome you all for the session. Today, in this class, we are going to discuss regarding an important concept in the operating system, which is known as a deadlock. So, deadlock is an important concept in the operating system. Why? Because we are working in the multi-processor environment. Many processes will be there. Many processes will be there, and all those processes want some sort of resources in order to complete its task. So in order to complete its task, those processes need some resources, and those resources will be available for some time, and whatever the resources that process is asking, that may not be available for at a particular instant of time. So here the resources again are of two types, like you will be going to have shareable resources and the non-shareable resources too. Fine. So here in this session we'll be going to discuss regarding the concept of deadlocks. Fine. Deadlocks is an important concept, as I have said you. So what do you mean by thing? In the sense, here there are number of processes. So suppose, let us take, there are three processes P1, P2 and P3. So here there are two resources R1 and R2. Fine. Here there is a one resource R1 and another resource R2. Two resources. Maybe this resource is of printer and this resource is of scanner. So these two resources are non-shareable resources. You have to make a note of it. Non-shareable resources. Why I'm telling you that it is a non-shareable resource? In the sense, suppose if P1 is executing a task, it is in need of a printer, right? So P1 has been requested for the printer. So P1 kept a request for the resource R1, which is a printer. So now P1 is printing a document. Fine. P1 is printing a document. At the same time, P2 is asked for scanner. So P2 is doing something with the scanner. Fine. In the middle, what it happened is, like P2 wants the printer, but printer is already under the control of one. It is under the control of P1. Now P2 wants again the printer. In the sense, what it has to do? It has to wait. Why? Because P1 is already handling the printer. It is going to make the printing process. So we can't print two documents at a time. So one by one we'll be going to have a printing process by making the mechanism of spooling concept, like we'll be going to have the printing process. So what do you mean by a spooling concept? Spooling concept in the sense, a memory will be there. So in that memory, what it is going to happen is, like here there are three processes P1, P2 and P3. So whatever the documents that P1 is going to print, that documents are going to place in some part of the memory. Next, whatever the documents P2 wants to print, those documents will be there, and P3 wants to print, those documents will be there. So spooling is the concept is, so here we are having only one printer, but we need to attend three different jobs: the jobs of P1, the jobs of P2 and the jobs of the P3. And a person need not stand for the near the printer in order to get these jobs. Whatever the concept of spooling is there, in that spooling a memory will be there, a memory is allocated or a buffer is allocated. In that buffer, what we'll be going to do is, whatever the jobs that require the printer, all the jobs are going to be placed in that memory. So one by one, what it is going to do is, this printer is going to take the printouts of first come first serve process. Here it is going to follow the concept of first come first serve. Here P1 came first, so it is going to take the printing of P1 process, and next P2, after P1 process has completed, what it will do is, it will be exiting out of this memory. So now P2 will enter So P2 will be going to make the printing process. After P2, next P3 will be going to do the printing process. So that is the spooling concept. So a person need not should be there at the printer to in order to view the things. Even though the person is not there, we can collect the documents later on, as you all well aware of it. Fine. So what I mean to say is, like, how the printer is going to work in the sense by making the concept of spooling. So spooling is that concept. So what we have to concentrate mainly over here is this printer and scanner are non-shareable resources. Non-shareable resource in the sense, like, resources are of two types. So resources are of two types. The first one is shareable resources and the second one is non-shareable resources. So non-shareable in the sense, like this printer, scanner, everything will comes under this non-shareable. Shareable in the sense, suppose if you want to read a file, and if you want to read a file, that is a shareable. Like as we have seen in the readers writers problem, like any number of persons can read the document at a time, but no two persons are allowed to write the document at a time, or one is reading and one is writing is also not at all possible. So that is a non-shareable. When we are going to say that a file is shareable in the sense, when we are going to keep that file in read mode, then only we can say that the file is in shareable mode. Fine. So when it comes to the printer and scanner, we are telling that they are non-shareable. Why? Because when P1 is going to take the printing, like P2 has to halt till P1 completes. So like this processes, we are going to say that it is a non-shareable process. So here again coming back to our concept deadlock. So P1 is acquired R1 resource. What is an R1 resource? It is a printer. P2 acquired R2 resource, which is a scanner. But when P2 is doing its job, it requires printer. This P2 requires printer. But P1 is already doing a printing process. Now what P1, P2 has to do? P2 has to wait until it gets the printer. Fine. Suppose, and this waiting state sometimes leads to starvation. Fine. So this waiting time sometimes leads to starvation. But why we are telling that is a starvation in the sense, what do you mean by starvation? Starvation is keep on waiting, not waiting for some time. If it is keep on waiting for a long time, then we call it as a starvation. Fine. So suppose if P1 is doing the printing process, so some other process, some X process came in the middle. Some X process came in the middle. So which is X process came in the middle, which is having a highest priority than P2 process. So what we'll be going to allocate this printer resource to this X process instead of allocating it to P2 process. So here this P2 process is keep on waiting like this if any priority process came in the middle. So this P2 process we call it as a starvation. Fine. There is a lot of difference between a starvation and a deadlock. So this condition we call it as a starvation. Fine. This we call it as a starvation. Now let us now see the example of a deadlock. Fine. Here we'll be going to see what is a deadlock. Fine. Here P1 process is there and P2 process is there. Here resource R1 and here resource R2. Fine. P1 is holding the resource R1. The arrow mark towards P1 indicates that P1 is holding the resource R1. The arrow outside P1 shows that P1 needs R2. This is needs R2. Fine. At the same time, P2 has the resource R2 and P2 needs R1. Fine. See here, P1 is a one process and P2 is the another process. Now I'm telling you the difference between a starvation and a deadlock. Starvation in the sense keep on waiting, we call it as a starvation. Later on, sometime this after this X process, then we will be going to get a chance for the P2, so that P2 will do its task. But when it comes to the deadlock, P1 is having this printer resource, P1 is having the printer, and it is waiting for scanner. Fine. P1 is having the printer resource R1 and waiting for the R2. But R2 is already handled by P2. This scanner is already handled by P2, process P2. And this process P2 is waiting for the R1 resources, which is handled by P1. So like this, a circle has been formed. So this, when we found this type of a circular motion, we call that this is a deadlock situation. Here there is no circle, so we are telling that it is starving, that is keep on waiting. Here, if P1 releases the R1, then only process P2 will do its task. If P2 releases R2, then only process P1 will do its task. But P1 is not willing to release R1 and P2 is not willing to release R2. So here we'll be going to have a deadlock. Let me explain you with a small simple example. Fine. Like here there is a road and here there is a bridge. Fine. This is the road. Fine. This is the road. Fine. So this is an example of deadlock. Here in this road, it is a two-way road, like it is a two-way. Here also it is a two-way. But when the bridge came, it is a single way. It is a one-way. Here it is a one-way. Fine. And when it comes to here and here, it is a two-way road. Fine. Till here, a car has came. Fine. Here also a car has came. So now this car moving towards this side and this car move towards this side. So here either car A, this is a car B. Fine. So here the car A is there and here the car B is there. Fine. So if, but only one car can pass in this way. We are not allowing two cars passing that bridge simultaneously. So only one car can pass in this way. But here A car is there and here the B car is there. A car doesn't want to go back and at the same time B doesn't want to go back. If either of the car moves back, then only we will be going to get a solution for this way. Or else if A is telling that no, I won't go back, I'll be staying here only. And B is also telling that no, I won't go back, I'll be going to stay. Let A go back, like that he is saying. But A doesn't want to return, go back, and B also doesn't want to go back. Here this situation we call it as a deadlock situation. Neither of the car passes the bridge. Both will get stuck at that particular instant of time. Both will get stuck at that particular point. That stucking without any further processing, we call it as a deadlock. So this is the simple exam I can give you for a deadlock. So I think you got some idea regarding what do you mean by a deadlock. Starvation, in the sense, it is a keep on waiting condition. Sometime or the other time that will work. But when it comes to the deadlock, it has been locked. As the name itself indicates, we say that it is a dead end. Dead end in the sense we can't move further, we can't cross further. That is the dead end. That is the halt of that place. In the same manner, deadlock in the sense either both the processes are not willing to release any of the resources. So here the situation is going to halt there only. That situation we call it as a deadlock. Now we will be going to proceed further with the theory concept. Fine. See here. So introduction to deadlock. So every process needs some resource to complete its execution, right? As I have said you, like we'll be going to have many processes and each and every process needs some resource to complete its task. So here the process P1 is there and here the process P2 is there. process P1 needs a printer and process P2 is holding scanner. Fine. So process P1 is holding the printer. So the process requests for some resource. Suppose if P1 requests for some resource, that is a scanner, OS grant the resource if it is available. If the scanner is not held with the processor P2, then what the operating system will do? Operating system will allocate this scanner also to this P1. But what it is happened now? The scanner is with the processor P2 and printer is with the processor P1. But then the P1 also wants a scanner, but the scanner is not available at that time. So let the processor P1, what the processor P1 has to do? The processor P1 is going to the wait state until the processor P2 release the scanner. This process P1 is going to wait. The processor use it and release on the completion. So this is how normal scenario happens. But when it comes to the deadlock, it is a situation where each of the computer processor wait for a resource which is being assigned to the some other resource. That means this P1 is having the printer and it is waiting for P2, and this P2 is having the scanner and this P2 is waiting for printer. Fine. When this situation comes, in this situation, none of the processes gets executed since the resources it needs is held by some other process which is also waiting for some other resources to be released. So here P1 is thinking that if P2 releases this scanner, so that P1 can complete its task. What P2 is thinking, if P1 releases the printer, this P2 can complete its task. But either P1 is not releasing the printer and P2 is not releasing the scanner. That holding condition, that locked condition, we call it as a deadlock. Fine. So let us assume that there are three processes. So here, this is an example of deadlock. Here these P1, P2, P3, all these are the P1, P2 and P3 are processes. And when it comes to R1, R2 and R3 are resources. So when deadlock will come is if you are going to have a circular wait, when you are going to have a circular wait, then the deadlock will appear. See here, P1 is holding the, suppose this resource R1, P1 is holding R1 and P2 is holding R2. Here P3 is holding R3. But what P1 is requesting for? P1 is requesting for R2 and P2 is requesting for R3, this is requesting, and P3 is again requesting for R1. Fine. So P1 is having the resource R1 and it is requesting for R2. P2 is having the resource R2 and it is what it is requesting for, and it is requesting for R3. And P3 is having the resource R3 and it is requesting for what, where it is requesting for? It is requesting for R1. Here a circular wait system has been formed. This we call it as a deadlock situation. Here that is the thing. So there are three different resources, R1, R2 and R3. R1 assigned to P1, R2 assigned to P2 and R3 assigned to P3. R1 assigned to P1, R2 assigned to P2 and R3 assigned to P3. Fine. So here P1 demands which is going to be used by P2. So whatever the diagram I have explained, I have written over here. So in this scenario, a cycle is being formed among three processes. None of the process is progressing and all are in waiting. The computer becomes unresponsive since all the processes got blocked. This is, we call it as a deadlock situation. Here P1 is halted. Why? Because in order to complete the process P1, it requires R1 plus R2. In order to complete the process P2, it requires R2 plus R3 resource. When in order to complete P3, it requires R3 plus R1 resource. But P1 is having R1, it is waiting for R2. P2 is having R2, it is waiting for R3. P3 is having R3 and it is waiting for R1. So all are waiting and the system will be blocked. If all processes are waiting, the system will be blocked. We can say that it is an unresponsive system. So at this unresponsive system, we call it as a deadlock. So let me tell you some of the differences between a starvation and the deadlock. In the previous starting of our class, I have said you that starvation means keep on waiting condition, we call it as a starvation. But when it comes to the deadlock, it is a system is unresponsive in the sense all the processes got blocked. Then we can say that the system is in deadlock. Here deadlock is a situation where no processes got blocked and no process proceeds. Here all the processes are got blocked and no processor proceed. That is the deadlock. Starvation is a situation. Starvation in the sense, as I have said you, so P1 is handling the resource R1 and P2 is requesting for R1. In the middle, if any X process came, this X process is having the highest priority, then after completion of P1, this resource will be allocated to X. So here P2 is keep on waiting. Why? Because this P2 is of low priority. And when X is doing, if Z process came with the highest priority, then after X, the resource is allocated to Z, but not to the P2 process. Why? Because P2 is a low priority process. So this P2 is keep on waiting. So keep on waiting condition, what we call? We call it as a starvation. So after Z has completed, then this R1 will be allocated to the processor P2. The starvation in the sense, sometime or the other we'll be going to get that resource, but when it comes to the deadlock, we can't predict when the that lock will be going to release. They are locked and they all are blocked. There is no way of releasing the resources. But here, when it comes to the starvation, we can expect that at any some particular point of time, the process may release the resource so that we'll be not going into the deadlock state. So that is the major difference between the deadlock and the starvation. Deadlock is an infinite waiting, like keep on waiting. When we are going to keep a while loop of, if we are going to keep a while loop semicolon, in the sense that it is keep on doing this thing only, it will not proceed to the further next step. If we are not keeping semicolon, then we are going to go to the next step. If you are going to keep a semicolon for the while loop, in the sense it is looping, indeterminate loop, like that it is infinite waiting. Starvation is a long waiting but not infinite. So it may wait for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but we can't say that it is not infinite. We can't say that it is of infinite waiting. So here the requested resource is blocked by the other process. So as I have said you, P1 is having R1 and P2 is asking for R1. So the P2 is requesting for R1, which is blocked by the P1 process. Every starvation need not be a deadlock. We can't say that when the starvation occurs, in the sense that need not be a deadlock. Later on sometime we can have the process released, and that so that we can do our task. Deadlock happens when mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption and circular wait occurs simultaneously. If any of the things occur simultaneously, then we'll be going to have a deadlock. We'll be going to see all these things. These four, we call it as the necessary conditions of a deadlock. If you want to have a deadlock, these are the necessary conditions to there so that a deadlock will occur. The requested resource is continuously be used by the high priority process. Then we say that it is a starvation. It occurs due to uncontrolled priority and resource management. So why starvation occur? In the sense, as we are giving priority to the processes and due to lack of resources management, the starvation will occur. So that is the difference between the deadlock and the starvation. Fine. So here the next important question and next important topic is necessary conditions for deadlock. So we have known till what do you mean by a deadlock and when the deadlock will occur. If a process is holding one resource and it is asking for another resource, then that keep on blocking state resources, we call it as a deadlock situation. Fine. So what are the necessary conditions? So when we can say that a deadlock will occur, what are the necessary conditions? In the sense, there are four necessary conditions that occur simultaneously, so that we say that a deadlock occur. What are the four necessary conditions? The first one is the mutual exclusion, second one is hold and wait, third one is no preemption, and fourth one is circular wait. It is very, very important topic, and this is the basic for the deadlock. Like when we are going to see in the further classes and how to prevent the deadlock, how to avoid the deadlock, how to recovery from the deadlock. So in order to know those concepts, like you have to understand the necessary conditions. So what do you mean by mutual exclusion? What do you mean by hold and wait? What do you mean by no preemption? And what do you mean by the circular wait? So we'll be going to discuss these things now. So here we'll be going to discuss the important one, that is necessary conditions of deadlock. So there are majorly four necessary conditions of a deadlock. The first one is mutual exclusion. We'll be going to study one by one. So what do you mean by mutual exclusion? So mutual exclusion in the sense, only one process should execute at a time. That we call it as a mutual exclusion. Fine. So mutual exclusion. So mutual exclusion in the sense, only one process should execute at a time. So when we are going to have the resources are of two types, the shareable and non-shareable. So mutual exclusion will be occurring for this non-shareable resources. When a resource is in non-shareable mode, so what we have to do is, like we have to allow only one process to allow to use that non-shareable resources, but not, we should not allocate many of the process. That is a mutual exclusion. So if this is not happening, a deadlock will occur. So these are the necessary conditions to occur a deadlock. So first one is mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion in the sense, out of irrespective of any number of processes, what we have to do is, we have to allow only one process to execute a resource at a particular instant of time. So if P1 is using the resource R1 and if P2 is also using the resource, then we may find the race condition. Fine. If it is a particular file, if both P1 and P2 are executing the same file, we may get the race condition. So we are not, we don't want to get the race condition. We want only the process, single process to execute. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to give the permissions only for the P1 process to execute the resource R1. After P1 completing its task, it is going to release the resource R1, so that now the resource R1 will be allocated to the P2 process, so that no deadlock situation is going to occur. And second one is no preemption. So second one is no preemption, as we have seen in the scheduling algorithms. Scheduling algorithms in what do you mean by no preemption? In the sense, here it is there is a processor. Fine. Here process P1 is executing now, and also process P2 is there, and also process P3 is there. There are three processes, and at present this process P1 is executing by the CPU. Fine. No preemption in the sense. So if suppose if this process P2 is having the highest priority, process P2 is having the highest priority. In that priority scheduling algorithm, what we have done, if any process with highest priority, what we have done, we have preempted the lowest priority process, and we have allocated the processor to the highest priority process. Preemption in the sense, preemption in the sense, what do you mean by preemption in the sense? Stopping in the middle. Stopping in middle. No preemption in the sense, so till it completes, don't stop execution. Don't stop execution. That is no preemption. So here process P1, P2, P3 are there. Initially this P1 is executing in the CPU. Here processor P1 is executing in the CPU. So no preemption in the sense, what we have to do is, unless this, suppose this process P1 is having 100 instructions, unless this process P1 completes all the 100 instructions, we should not allocate any other process to the CPU. Till the process P1 complete its task completely, then only this P1 has to come outside voluntarily. So P1 has to come outside voluntarily, but we should not, the operating system should not stop in the middle due to any of the reasons. That we call it as a no preemption. And the third one, third in necessary condition is, third one is circular wait. Circular wait in the sense, what I have said you, like I have said you in the previous example, there is a process P1 and here is a process P2, and there are the resources R1 and here is the resources R2. So P1 is having the resource R1 and P2 is having the resource R2. Fine. And P1 is waiting for R2 and P2 is waiting for R1. This circular thing shouldn't be formed. So necessary conditions, if circular condition has been formed, then we'll be going to have the deadlock. And the last one and the final fourth one is, next, this is the fourth one, and the third one is hold and wait condition. So hold and wait. What do you mean by hold and wait? Suppose here there are two processes, so P1 and P2. So here there are two resources, R1 and R2. Hold and wait condition shouldn't, if you are going to have the hold and wait, that is also one of the necessary condition of a deadlock. Hold and wait in the sense, P1 is having the resource R1 and it is waiting for the resource R2. This P1 is holding the resource R1 and P1 is waiting for the resource R2. And P2, suppose when it comes to P2, P2 is having the resource R2 and it is waiting for the resource R1. This hold and wait condition should not be there. Fine. These are the four necessary conditions of a deadlock. If any of the condition is there, then we can say that in a system a deadlock is going to happen. Fine. So there are many different techniques in order to handle this deadlock that we'll be going to see later. But what are the necessary conditions of a deadlock in the sense, in order to, if a system is going into a deadlock in the sense, if these conditions are there, then definitely the system will go into a deadlock. So what is the first condition? I'll be going to recollect once again. What is the first condition? First condition is mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion in the sense, we have to allow only a single process to use a particular shareable resource at a time. At a particular instant of time, that shareable resource should be used by a single process. If 2 or 3 processes are going to use the shareable resource, then the system will be going into a deadlock situation. So that shouldn't be entertained. Next one is no preemption. No preemption in the sense, suppose if process P1, P2, P3 are there, Now process P1 is currently executing by the CPU. So no preemption in the sense no stopping in the middle. Preemption in the sense stopping in the middle. No preemption in the sense until unless this process P1 complete its task, don't terminate the process P1. So that is a no preemption. Circular wait in the sense this is the circular wait. Process P1 is having the resource R1 and waiting for R2. Process P2 is having the resource R1 and it is waiting for R1. P1 is not releasing R1 and P2 is not releasing R2. There forms the circular situation, and this is also not going to be done. And last one is the hold and wait condition. A process holding the resource R1 and waiting for the resource R2. So this is also one of the necessary conditions of a deadlock. These are the 4 necessary conditions that are having in which a deadlock is going to have. So here coming to this one, mutual exclusion in the sense one or more than one resource are non-shareable, then mutual exclusion should be done. So if a resource R1 is there, if this is a non-shareable resources, then mutual exclusion in the sense we have to allow only one process to execute this resource R1 at a time. Later this process P1 completed, then we have to allow the process to allow this non-shareable resource. Hold and wait. A process is holding at least one resource and waiting for other resource. Hold and wait in the sense a processor should hold one resource and it has to wait for the another resource. No preemption. A resource cannot be taken from the process until the process releases the resource voluntarily. So by itself it has to release the resource. We should not forcibly take out the resource. Why? Because due to some priority conditions, we should not force any of the resource to take out forcibly. That is also not to be done. Circular wait in the sense a set of processes are waiting for each other in the circular form. That we call it as a circular wait. This is the condition of a deadlock. See here, mutual exclusion in the sense there should be a resource that can be that can only be held by one process at a time. So here is the resource R1 which is going to be handled by the processor P1 at a time. In this diagram below there is a single instant of resource R1 held by the process P1. So one resource is there at this resource is going to be handled by the single process, that is mutual exclusion. Hold and wait. Hold and wait in the sense this processor P2 is having resource R2 and resource R3 and this process is waiting for resource R1. So a process can hold multiple resource and still request more resource from other processes which are holding them. In this diagram, processor P2 holding resource R2 and R3 and is requesting for resource R1 which is held by this R1 is already held by processor P1. So this situation we call it as a hold and wait situation. Next one is no preemption. A resource cannot be preempted from a process by force. So here this process is having this R2 resource and is requesting for R1 resource. Here a process can only release a resource voluntarily. In this diagram, process 2 cannot preempt resource R1 from process P1. Why? Because this, in order to complete process P2, it needs resource R2 and it needs resource R1 also. But this resource R1 is already allocated by the process P1. So we should not forcibly take out this resource R1 from P1 and we should not allocate it to P2. That is not the case. Unless this P1 completes the task with the R1, this processor P2 has to wait. This resource has to released voluntarily by the processor P1. Then only we will allocate this resource to the process P2. So that is no preemption. Next one is circular wait. A process circular wait in the sense process P1 is requesting for R1 and resource R2 is already allocated to P2 and process P2 is requesting for R2 and it is having already the R1. Here we are forming a circle. A process is waiting for the resource held by the second process which is waiting for the resource held by the third process, and so on, till the last process is waiting for the resource held by the first process. This forms a circular chain. As I have said you, here V forms a circular chain. For example, process P1 is allocated for resource R2 and it is requesting for R1. Similarly, P2 is allocated R1 and it is requesting for R2. This forms a circular loop. This is also one of the necessary condition of a deadlock. With this, we'll be going to have this thing, fine. With this, we'll be going to have the deadlock situation. So when it comes to a deadlock, what we have to do is, like, we have to make sure that there should be a mutual exclusion, no preemption, and hold and wait and circular wait. All these four conditions are the necessary conditions of a deadlock. And we have seen the difference between the starvation and the deadlock also. The minor, a thin line will be there between the deadlock and the starvation. Deadlock in the sense infinite loop. Starvation in the sense not infinite loop. At some time or the other, we can expect that the process to be functioning, but when it comes to the deadlock, it is stuck, that process will not function. And for this, by this, we'll be going to wind up the session now, and that's all for today. In the next class, we'll be going to see what are the, like, a system is a deadlock, is under the deadlock situation. So now what are the preventive, what are the methods to be handled in order to overcome that deadlock, we'll be going to see in the situation. Why? Because this deadlock is a very serious situation in our processor. So suppose when it comes to a normal end user, it won't create that much problem. But when it comes to hospitals, in hospitals, if a processor got stuck, like when it is doing some major operations and everything, if a processor went in the deadlock, in the sense, like, it is very harmful to the patient. So in that critical situations, we don't want our systems to be in a deadlock state. Like, we can't say that deadlock will occur, but there may be a chances of occurring the deadlock, but this deadlock should not be entertained. And that's all for today's students. Thank you all, and have a nice day.